Okay, hello everyone. So this is a small workshop to talk about the future of the Avalanche Explorer for the HyperVM future. The name is, of course, everything is TBD because we're still talking to our labs for everything, and it's still all to be defined. But we wanted to make a commitment and to say, like, guys, HyperVM, we think it's super cool, and let's build something on top of it. So HyperTrace is actually the product that is built on top of SnowTrace as a Avalanche Explorer built on the HyperVM. Okay. So basic idea is everything is on top of course, of the Hyper SDK framework. For those of you who don't know what's Hyper SDK, it's a high performance net framework for customizable blockchain on Avalanche, meaning that it's totally agnostic and you can easily compose the blocks of what's your account going to be like, what's your transaction model going to be like, how your validator is going to validate blocks, how you're going to reach consensus, and so on. And we call the virtual machine HyperVM. Should we call the chains hyperchains? I don't know. Nomenclature is something that I'm really obsessed about, so I will stress about finding a good name for it. So what's the key innovation? Ultra-fast block production on 250 milliseconds per block, high throughput up to 25,000 transactions per second. Actually, there was a high peak of theoretically 140,000 transactions per second. And there's an efficient data management because there's not a lot of attributes and data fields that EVM currently has. So the thing about HyperVM, and we've talked also about to some current Avalanche L1s, and they're also thinking about deploying on as an HyperVM, as an hyperchain, because it would be much more flexible and much more scalable for specific use case like super high frequency trading and gaming or other use cases. So what is HyperTrace? HyperTrace is a block explorer, is a beta block explorer, alpha, not even beta, but it's tailored for HyperVM. And the thing is, we want to develop, like every block explorer, comprehensive real-time and historical blockchain data. And we want to provide a seamless user experience between the current SnowTrace and the new HyperTrace. And we want to maintain efficiency despite the ultra high throughput of more than 5,000 transactions per second of sustained throughput. What did we do? So we didn't build a custom indexer. We just iterated on top of the actual node. It was provided by Avalabs, and we have modified basically the node indexer. That is just the same thing that we did with pChain when we built the first indexer for pChain back in 2021. There are a lot of issues in this because for an ultra high throughput chain, you need to know where to store the data and how to actually serve them to users. Solana actually kind of solved this because the Solana node also has an indexer built in with 90% of feature set for an Explorer. So if you just connect to a Solana RPC, you will see most things that on an EVM you need an indexer for. And that's why there are a lot of Solana Explorers spinning up every day, and why it's so easy to index Solana. You don't have to index it. And then if some Explorer wants to do something more extensive, they just need to add the delta and just extract those delta data. As I was saying, there are storage limitations, of course, because as we're seeing already now, like with the high throughput alt EVMs, like Monad or Mega ETH or something like that, the problem is the same. You have a lot of transactions, you need to store and pay for them. So it's both expensive and you literally don't know how to store them because you need to have a fast way to retrieve those data. Right now, we are indexing around 10 billion transactions across the 60 chains that we index on Routescan, but still it's 60 chains. So we selectively choose the chains when it comes to transaction hashes or blocks or central addresses. We don't fetch all the 10 billion transactions every time. But if a single chain has 10, for example, if a chain does 5,000 TPS, it means they have around 2 billion transactions every month. 10 billion transactions on Routescan were achieved in 40 years of indexing for 60 chains. So we need to have a way of either, like, this is not just not a workshop per se. I'm not like telling you how to spin up an HyperVM. I'm not even telling you to use HyperVM, but I'm just trying to give some inputs about how to solve these issues that are currently, in talks for a lot of people around, the ultra high throughput ecosystems. And one way is to actually, prune the data and just keep the headers, but still you need to have archival nodes. So who gets the archival nodes? How to compromise between like decentralization, like have a lot of nodes and pay for those lot of nodes in archival mode. This is just something that still needs to be addressed. So what's the incentives, for example, to get an archival node running? Because archival nodes are really expensive. And if you need to get archival nodes, explorers need archival nodes to run, then you need to have an incentive for the people to actually pay for the server costs to get those nodes running. Also, we still have, and this is not just HyperVM, but this is about all ultra high throughput VM that we're working with. They've not really solved the DB problem. Like some chains have solved this by, parallelizing computing and writing to the storage onto their own node DB. But this actually only solves the issue of the consensus layer and not the storage level, because you still need to write all that data. You still have a lot of computation for each node to actually write that data. And so, again, a lot of money, not everyone can do it. So what's the use case? For example, gaming chains, it's a good use case because they don't need to have a lot of nodes, because gaming chains are not that super high value, of transactions. Well, maybe some are, but the basic idea is that a gaming chain is not as valuable as a DeFi chain. If you get Aave on a chain, it's more valuable than if you get a game on the same chain. And so it's about that. And also, there could be issues about even streaming. If you know Avascan and you go on the avascan.info homepage, you will see that we have implemented, a couple of years ago, a feature when we actually refresh the homepage as many times as transactions come through, and you actually, it doesn't even make sense, but all of you guys love it because you love it to see the transactions that are so fast that you cannot even see them. But the problem with an ultra high throughput VM is that you cannot even ingest them. You cannot even see them when they're so fast. We're seeing, we have done tests, and we saw that our indexer, or in general, any type of indexer, could only resist to 5,000 TPS. Other than that, it's just you cannot physically get them all in real time. You always do something. So if it's a game transaction, then maybe it's not a problem. But what if it's a DeFi transaction? What if you want to build the next Hyperliquid and you lose some transactions? That's an issue. So we're talking with Avalabs engineers, and we're trying to understand maybe if we can build a publish subscribe service that it's more like the node that is actually giving information to the indexer instead of vice versa. But this is still a work in progress. But yet we have the Explorer running, and you can already have a look at it, because we're running our own DevNet, private DevNet, but we got word that a public official DevNet is coming soon for developers to use. And this is just what we wanted to do to just let people understand that we are here, we can do it, we can show you the basic ideas, and we're here for for a 2025 launch, hopefully. Yeah, this is all kind of stuff that our engineers wrote. I actually did not write the slides because I didn't have much time. So I had my engineers write it, but I still don't understand everything that is written to it. So, but again, they're like, with all these challenges, there are some ideas that are really, really interesting as to how to write a new VM. That are like, for example, multidimensional fees. Multidimensional fees or having different fee markets for different types of transactions is really a key piece for example, for building different lanes based on the transaction volume, throughput, finality, and so on. And so I believe that's what we want to showcase on the Explorer, like how are multidimensional fees, why are they important, and so on. And we also want to understand how to aggregate data more efficiently on a chain like this, because it's not that easy. And so yeah, that's basically it, because we of course want to provide the same unified approach that we have with Snowtrace. If you go to Snowtrace, we have all chains all at once. So we would like to offer this for hyper chains as well. So if 10 chains launch, then we'll have a unified Explorer for all those 10 chains, as long as single chain explorers. And future directions. Yeah, we will. We want to develop a dedicated indexer throughout the year, and maybe we'll have more news at the Avalanche Summit London. We will have another workshop, and of course we count on open source contributions, and we are making open source contribution our own, so that we can advance this work further, because I think it's a really valuable proposition for the whole industry. This should be finished. But since I want to do exactly what I want to do, and I like to be Steve Jobs, I have one more thing to share. And this is something that we've been working on with the Avalanche Foundation to deliver. And yes, it's something about AI. Everyone is talking about it. So the idea is you want to know how Bybit was hacked, and how Lazarus maybe recycled the funds, whatever, laundered the funds, or any other type. Like, I want to know maybe how many transactions below or above 100,000 AVAX were done in the last 13 days. I don't know, because maybe I want to understand some specific patterns about Avalanche whales. And right now it's actually a little bit difficult, and also it's you have to go to Dune, then make queries and so on. Well, we got it. We're building an AI agent on top of Snowtrace. This is something that's going to be announced soon as an official statement from the Avalanche Foundation, because we got a grant from the InfoBuild AI program. And the thing is, we want to build this AI agent as a sort of personal assistant for Snowtrace. And it will start with C chain in the next 2 months, and then it will evolve to all Avalanche chains by the end of June, hopefully. And then on top of this, of course, Avalanche will be always the first to get new updates, and then we'll also expand to other chains to get this service to other chains. But for Avalanche, we're really focused on understanding exactly what we can do about cross-transaction patterns, and how we can maybe aggregate data based on Avalanche L1s. And so we really want to develop the most custom and custom agent for Avalanche, that Avalanche OGs and users want. So this is what we're building for 2025 on Avalanche. Hope you like it. I'm here for feedback. Thank you.
Because of the different actions that you can create. Are these kind of explorers specific to certain type or subset of that virtual machine that you can create, or it's
since HyperVM is agnostic, you could literally make your chain just in any way you want. You could even have transactions be called pokes or whatever. And but the thing is, we would like to understand what's the highest abstraction that we can make, so that we can build an indexer that is as agnostic as possible. and of course doing some specific parsing in relation to specific use cases. I don't know, for example, if there's a gaming chain that wants to highlight how many NFTs or how many whatever things they're going to call transfers on the chain, then we may build a separate specific index for that, but it's work on top of that. It's not designed as, we cannot possibly build indexers for everything, so we'll just build the most abstract indexer that we can and then just make custom things for the chains that want it.
Is there something in the plans for any developer that wants to create like something like super rare in its own virtual machine to take some, I don't know, like framework that you have or something that they can modify to integrate that different functionality?
This is a good thing, and I don't know about it, but it could be good to actually have some modules that developers can use. On the EVM side, we're building Routescan as an explorer that you can just spin up in a few minutes, and just like a SaaS, maybe you just pay for it and you just pay as you go. So we're going in that direction, but it's extremely hard to make sure that everything is set up. So it's still a work in progress, but yeah, the path is there.
Kind of similarly to that question. So based on like your default, indexer service, what are the things that you're like, we want to provide to every single, HyperVM versus things that will be like customizable?
Yeah.
Because I'm just curious, like,
Yeah.
what things is going to be in that basic model.
Yeah, so I think multidimensional fees is something that everyone is gonna want to customize. So we can have a basic metaphors for multidimensional fees, and there's going to be transactions and blocks. Some chains may not even think about building blocks, but just transactions like a DAG. I don't know. It depends on the like high frequency trading, for example. It's really good. A DAG is really good for high frequency trading. But I think just the transaction metaphor, the block metaphor, the account metaphor, and the assets metaphor of the account, those are the things that we're building. And I think if you just let me see if I can. Yeah, so it's extremely fast, as you can see. Right now we're the testnet that we're running. It's at 20 TPS full, like sustained. And it's actually extremely cheap to run 20 TPS on HyperVM because it's there's no like EVM has a lot of opcodes and a lot of excessive bytecode that really costs a lot of money to store. And instead, HyperVM is just like a JSON with the very basic ideas inside. And so what you see here is exactly what we're indexing. It's really, really raw. So the bandwidth of the transaction, then we have the compute units, the storage units to allocate, and the storage units to read and to write. And yes, we have right now the field is not multidimensional, but it's something that I believe it's very valuable, but we didn't build it in our own DevNet. And so this is something that I believe we can provide to everyone. But as far as I know, for example, this Explorer is just updated to the version of HyperVM that was up to 2-3 weeks ago. And the HyperVM, Aaron and the engineers are working on HyperVM on every day. So there's a new patch every day. We can keep up. So yeah. So I believe we need to, of course, snapshot and then work on that and then provide feedback. And I think it's been fun for our engineers to to do this. Yes.
I have a question. So I see here on your website that you have cross-chain transactions as well.
Yeah.
I'm tracking those. And so I'm working with the cross-chain protocol. Is that something that we would submit to you or do something through like an API?
You mean for HyperVM or for EVM?
For EVM specifically.
Yeah, no. That is something. If the L1 supports the ACM, the cross messaging protocol,
Yeah.
it's it's possible that we already support it. We just need to index the chain and to verify that we support the precompiles. But yeah, we support a lot of, right now for the cross-chain messaging on Avalanche, we support the Avalanche Bitcoin bridge, the Ethereum Avalanche bridge, and all the testnet L1s, I believe, for cross-chain, and a few of the mainnet L1s.
Very cool. Thank you.
I have a question. So you mentioned during the presentation saying that there's new challenges with the increase of the TPS.
Yeah.
Is that a new challenge because of HyperVM, or is that you encounter similar thing in other chain which already reached that 5 chain?
Yeah. We're talking to other ultra high throughput VMs, and the issue is the same. Upward are like 5,000 TPS. It's just expensive, very expensive. Like, I don't know,
Yes, it's just
$500,000 a month just for server costs. Other than that, it's just about data ingestion.
Right.
Like, we were talking with Adam, and we're like, Adam, maybe we can just agree on what could be like, yeah, 140,000 TPS, it's okay, yes, you're cool, you're a cool guy. We're cool with that. But like, can we just go down to 5,000 TPS for the test? Because 25,000 is actually impossible. And I don't mean like if you go and do 25,000 transactions for 5 seconds. That it's okay. But if you do it for 5 hours,
That's fine.
it's impossible. You lose like increasingly more transactions.
I mean, it's just people asking more. When you give more, when you bring more challenges, right?
Yeah. Yes, and I think Solana did a really good job in this by moving the supply chain of the indexing inside the node, and so that the validators that are the ones that are incentivized also are the ones that I believe validators on Solana are only archive nodes. So you are incentivized to run the node because you're validating the chain, and you provide the RPC that has 90% of the features that you want on Explorer. If you just chat GPT on the Solana RPC, you can build a 90% functional Explorer with just zero data on your backend. Zero data. Just RPC data shown on the website. For EVM, this is impossible. You just have, 5 minutes of transactions. Okay, thank you.